Hi, I'm Paul Kyogan from GK Tuition, and in this video I want to talk to you about probability. Now the question that I've chosen to go through here is 2019 Paper 2 Question 6 Part A. In this question we're given a Venn diagram where the probability of f is 1/4, f alone, the probability of f intersection s is 1/5, the probability of only s is x, and then the probability of neither is y. Remember that all your probabilities have to add up to 1. So I know that 1/4 plus 1/5 plus x plus y will have to add up to 1. The question is to find the value of x and the value of y. Now the key is that they've told me that f and s are independent events. If f and s are independent events, that means that the probability of f intersection s, in other words the probability that both of them happen, is equal to the probability of f multiplied by the probability of s. So that's our starting point. If we just sub in there based on what we've been given, we know the probability of f intersection s is just 1/5. We can see it from the diagram. We know the probability that f occurs is 1/4 plus 1/5. And we know the probability that s occurs is 1/5 plus x. So if you look at this line, we've got one equation, we've got one unknown, so happy days, we can find the value of x. All you have to do here, my next line I just added 1/4 plus 1/5, that gives me 9/20. So I've got 1/5 is equal to 9/20 multiplied by 1/5 plus x. So in order to isolate this bracket, I just divide both sides by 9/20. If you divide both sides by 9/20, the left hand side is 1/5 divided by 9/20, you get 4/9. The right hand side I'm just left with the bracket. Now I've got 1/5 plus x on the right, so I just subtract 1/5 from both sides, and my value for x ends up as 11/45. So that's your first value, but obviously the question was to find the value of x and the value of y. So in the next bit, I know that all four of these need to add up to 1. So if I just get 1 and I subtract the 3 values I already have, I'll be able to work out the value of y. So obviously I know all 4 probabilities added together need to give me 1. And when I write that out, my only unknown is y. So I just bring the other 3 fractions to the right hand side. They all become negatives. And if you plug those into your calculator, you end up with y is equal to 11/36. So your two answers are x is equal to 11/45, y is equal to 11/36. Okay, in the next part of this question, we're told that there are Spanish, Irish and German children waiting to get on a swing. There's 10 Spanish children and there's twice as many Irish children as there are German children. So the easiest way to describe that is to say that there are X German children and 2X Irish children. In other words, there's twice as many of these as there is of those. Now we're now told that children are randomly selected to get on the swing, and that the probability that the first child selected is German and that the second child selected is not German is 1/6. Now that's enough information for us to find the values of x. Once we do that, they then asked us how many children are queuing up. Okay, so how many children are involved in this scenario? First of all, you should realize, right, I need to write a fraction to describe the probability the first child is German. The probability the first child is German is the number of German children over the total number of children. So the probability the first child is German is x, which is the total number of Germans, over the total number of children, which in this case would be 3x plus 10. That's the probability the first child selected would be German. Now I know that the next child, so now I need to work out the probability the next child is not German. So remember that there's one less German child now, and I need to work out the probability the next one is not German. There's the same amount of Irish and Spanish, so the probability the next one is either Irish or Spanish. The top of that fraction will be 2x plus 10. Now, however, this time there's one less child than there was originally. So rather than it being over 3x plus 10, one of the German children is gone. She's already been on the swing. So now there's 3x plus 9 children left. So this is the probability that the first child selected is German. This is the probability the second child selected is not German. We were told that the chances that happens is equal to 1/6. And if you look at this equation, now we've got one equation, we've got one unknown, so happy days, we can find the value of x. So now we just need to we need to just continue this one on. It's relatively straightforward to multiply out fractions. You just multiply the tops by each other and the bottoms by each other. So to turn this left hand side into one fraction, the top line would just become x times 2x plus 10, and the bottom line will just become 3x plus 10 times 3x plus 9. And I know that that's equal to 1/6. Now I need to just manipulate it around and try and simplify it. Okay, so now I just need to multiply it out. Top line, obviously, x by 2x plus 10 becomes 2x squared plus 10x. When I multiply the bottom lines fully, I have to multiply out my double brackets, becomes 9x squared plus 57x plus 90. And at this stage, in order to get rid of my fractions, I cross multiplied. The top on the left by the bottom on the right is 6 times 2x squared plus 10x, and that's equal to the bottom on the left by the top on the right, which is just 9x squared plus 57x plus 90. At this stage, we've got no fractions. We just multiply it out. 6 by this gives me 12x squared plus 60x. Now we've got x squareds, we've got x's, and we've got numbers. So clearly we've got a quadratic equation, and it simplifies down to 3x squared plus 3x minus 30 equals 0. Those numbers are a little bit too big, so it's much easier if we divide everything by 3. We get x squared plus x minus 30 equals 0. So to finish this off now, all we need to do is factorize and find the value of x. So now if we just factorize our quadratic, the factors of x squared plus x minus 30 are x plus 6 and x minus 5. So if we simplify that down, our two answers are x equals minus 6 and x equals 5. But obviously, remember that x represents the number of German children waiting for this swing. It doesn't make sense to say that minus 6 German children are waiting for the swing, so that one we can eliminate. And the answer must be 5. There's 5 German children waiting for the swing. Now that we know our x, remember the question was to work out the total number of children. There was 10 Spanish children, there was x German, which is actually 5, there was 2x Irish, 2 times 5, that means there's 10 Irish children, and there's 10 Spanish children. So if we add it together, 10 plus 10 plus 5, happy days, obviously the total number of children is 25 children. So the final answer to that question is 25. Now I hope all of that video makes sense. If there's anything you're unsure of there, or you'd like me to clarify something, just send me an email or let me know in class, and I'll try and explain it just a little bit differently.